Hello everyone, it's me again, talking once more about documentation. Today I bring good news, I think much better news than last time. I had some feedback on the structure that we were using for documentation, and I've made some changes that I believe are going to make everybody's life much easier. So let's see. Let me make a quick presentation of what happened and why the changes were necessary in the first place. Okay, so this presentation is going to be the return of JSOTutorials with the objective of making it user-friendly again. So we essentially had one site with everything. At some point it was JSOTutorials with everything. We moved to the current website, or kind of the current website, but also was Franklin website with everything, and I mean all of the tutorials. And the issue with this approach is that whenever I want to make any change, for instance, there's a new blog post, this is just written content, no Julia parsing or compilation whatsoever. I have to compile all of the tutorials, and that can take a long time. So for me specifically, that have to deal with like, okay, some button is not working, I have to figure out why. Or when we want to add a new reference, small changes, they were taking a lot of time, so it was not very pleasant. So what did we do? We created the JSO docs organization and essentially solved the problem. Now I have a website, and the website only has website stuff. I have separately repositories with the tutorials. No interaction whatsoever except for the link. I have a link here that points to the tutorial. I can work on this tutorial completely separate from the website and vice versa. So the problem here was that it was very complex. Although it solved the problem, creating a new tutorial was very hard, and making it work, especially when I try to use different domains. So JuliaSmoothOptimizers .github.io was having to mix with JSOdocs.github.io, and that was a nightmare for me as well as for anybody who tried to create a tutorial. I think it had 14 steps to create a new tutorial. Amazing if you have to create tutorials for a living, but if you have to create one tutorial, the learning curve is terrible. Okay, so let's do something completely different. Let's first move my face out of the way. I'm now doing something which I think is better. I copied it from SciML's tutorial, kind of, because they use build kite. And the idea is that now we build the tutorials on JSOTutorials.jl as we did originally, but the site shows. And that in itself does not solve the problem. What solved the problem was actually this part here. I found a way to generate a job matrix automatic based on what files were changed. I can manually trigger and run all the tutorials, and it builds them in parallel. So that means that I don't have to wait, in this case, 20 minutes. I can just wait 6 minutes, and that's fine. But in addition to that, if I make a change to a single tutorial, only that tutorial is going to be built. I build the tutorials, I then gather them all and make a deploy to the website in the form of a pull request. And it is indeed much faster. So yeah, that's the idea. So now the question is, how do I create a tutorial? Now let's do that. Okay, so I am using VS Code here, and I have cloned the JSOTutorials page. I'm kind of cheating because I already opened Julia, and so it's faster, but anyway, doesn't make a lot of difference. I only have JSOTutorials here, so if you don't have access to JSOTutorials, you're gonna have to fork it, which is fine. We're gonna show that as well. The current JSOTutorials repository has a tutorials folder, which is essentially the only important thing. And inside this folder, each folder is a different tutorial. It actually can be more than one. So if you look at these folders, you can see that they have index.jmd and a project.toml. So I can actually create more tutorials inside this folder, but I have not tested it because I have not found a reason to do that. The most important thing though is that you have a project.toml. So the idea is that each folder is an environment. So let's pretend I'm gonna create a new tutorial just to showcase what we're going to do here. So to create a new tutorial, I'm gonna right click here, create a new folder, test tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'm gonna create a file called index.jmd. One thing you have to do, this is imperative, you have to copy from somewhere the header, which currently only has 3 parts, which are the title. So this is a test tutorial, tags, and please do add tags, okay? So testing, YouTube, you can add more tags even if you don't use them, and JSO, and the author, which again is just me. And then it's just a markdown file, essentially. You can add comments as you would normally. So, hi, this is a tag tutorial. And then you have to use this. So you have to use a code fence with the Julia denominator here. Let's use distributions. And we're gonna create a new distribution, a normal distribution, and let's take then a sample of size 10. I'm using distributions, but I don't have distributions in the JSOTutorials environment. And you should not add distributions to the JSOTutorials environment. You have to add distributions to the correct environment. So to do that, you're going to cd into tutorials, test tutorial, open Julia, whichever version you're using, and you're going to activate dot to activate that environment and add whichever packages you need to add. If you don't have any package, you can skip this part, but I mean, this is a JSO tutorial, so I imagine you're gonna have some JSO package. Okay, most important part, project.toml was created here. Okay, ideally you should add a compact version. To see which version, you just ask for the status and you copy the latest version. Depending on the stability, you can just say 0.25, it's better. No need to be very strict here. And the thing that you can and should do at some point before submitting it is compiling using JSOTutorials. So this is the only hard part, let's say. You have to be in the correct place. So I'm here in Julia at the test tutorial. I'm gonna change directory to this general place. So I'm on the root of JSOTutorials. I don't know why I said general. So I'm in the root of JSOTutorials and I'm gonna use JSOTutorials. And I'm gonna activate the current environment first, and then I'm gonna use JSOTutorials. Now that I'm using the JSOTutorials, I can say JSOTutorials.weave file, and then you give the folder inside that tutorial, inside tutorials. Don't add the prefix tutorials, and you add the file, which in this case is index.jmd. Here it is, it's compiling, and I'm gonna delete this parsed file. and this markdown file is where the output is gonna be. Okay, it's done. It created an index.md file. This file still has the tags that we're gonna use for different things, but most importantly, it now has the output of this snippet right here. By the way, if you ever do something with random things, you should also add a random feed like this. Not gonna do it right now, don't want to rerun. But that's it. If this is what you wanted, now you can preview this file with Ctrl+Shift+V for normal markdown preview. Is this what you wanted to do? Yes. Okay, that's it. You're done. You created the tutorial. We just finished our tutorial. We have two files that matter: index.jmd, project.toml. We're gonna commit those files. So how do you do that? First, check out -b, the name of your tutorial or something similar like test tutorial. This is a branch, right? So you can have spaces. I'm on the branch test tutorial. Create a commit. Git commit -a. First you have to git add your files. So add the test tutorial folder. Git commit -am new tutorial test tutorial. And one important thing, you have to create a fork to push this branch and then create a pull request from there. So I'm gonna create that. So to fork, you only have to come here in JSOTutorials and click fork. That's it. I already have a fork, so it's actually gonna ask me where to, and I'm gonna say Abel Siqueira, and they say already exists. Come back here and add my remote. So what you have to do is say git remote add one name for your fork. I usually add my name or the name of whoever is responsible for that fork or the GitHub handle. In this case, to be explicit, I'm gonna say git remote add my fork. I should not have. Okay, git add my fork, and then the full URL, https, you can copy paste. github.com/abelsiqueira/JSOTutorials.jl. It's done. I'm gonna push -u so it remembers where it's being sent to. You say which remote, so the fork, which branch, test tutorial. So push to this remote my fork, my branch. And from here you can already just visit this link and create a pull request. So if you hold Ctrl and press click, press the left mouse button, you're gonna go to the new tutorial column test tutorial, and it says here what it's going to do. That's it. It's creating a new project.toml and an index.jmd, and you can say, yes, this is what I wanted to do. If there is a reason for you to explain something, please do. Remember, this is public, so it's not just us that are reading this. So sometimes you want to be clear on what you're creating. Future generations. Create a new pull request. Eventually, we're gonna have a preview here, I hope, or something like that. Currently, there is no preview, so nothing is gonna happen. I'm gonna merge the pull request. Okay, and I can delete this. So this is where the magic happens. Of course, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna be very disappointed. But in the deployment of this thing, there is a generate job strategy matrix that should automatically decide which tutorials need to be generated. So here you see it. only one tutorial is going to be generated, which is the test tutorial index. So if you go back to the summary, you're going to see only one job, which is the one we just created. And so it's going to install Julia, build the tutorial, upload the artifact. You don't need to care about that. And eventually it's going to create the deployment. And the deployment here is a pull request. And the pull request we can review. Okay, we are back. It has completed the deployment. If we go to the pull request, well, not here. The pull requests in the JuliaSmoothOptimizers.github, we can see that there is a new pull request, updates from JSOTutorials. And you can see here, this is the traditional website experience. And now we have to wait for this to build. Okay, we are back. The website experience gives you a JSO preview.netlify.app, which has the website on a preview page. Hopefully it has not broken in this couple of hours. And well, actually you can't see anything here, but you can check that the tutorials/test tutorial works. Okay, and it works. Okay, that's it. It's working. There is one additional step, but this is something that we can do together, so you don't have to worry about this. If you got to this point, we can fix this other part later, and I also have not documented it yet. But for now, just see that it worked. The tutorial is online. You just have to edit one file. You only have to commit one file. And finally, what is that other thing that you have to do in case you are interested in working more closely with the infrastructure of creating tutorials or maintaining the tutorials? If you go into the underlying data page of the website, there is a tutorials.json with all of the tutorials that we currently have. And you're gonna see that your tutorial is not here. So there is no test tutorial. We only have to copy this and paste it. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope I get some engagement on the tutorials. And please give me some feedback if you think this is useful. We can have an interactive section if you want to create your tutorial in other ways. And by the way, you can probably create your tutorial using Jupyter and convert it to this format. I'm not sure about Pluto though, but one thing at a time. Okay, and thank you and bye-bye.